Hello, and welcome to week 15 of Great Writers of English Literature. This week, we'll be watching an episode of the British anthology science fiction series Black Mirror. In Striking Vipers, Danny and Carl are college friends, reunited in their 30s, who become unexpectedly close when they start playing a virtual reality fighting game. In the game, the friends adopt avatars that are very different from their real-life bodies. Carl, a black man, takes on the body of a light-skinned woman, and Danny, also a black man, uses an Asian male body. As the two avatars fight, the charged atmosphere leads to the players having in-game sex. In reality, Danny and Carl remain unmoving on the sofa, but they're still very much enjoying the encounter. Guy Lodge, who wrote an analysis of the episode in The Guardian called Queer Fears, asks some important questions about this relationship. Wondering if the in-game sex fully counts, Lodge goes on to ask if it's gay, even if the characters in the game aren't. According to Lodge, Striking Vipers pushes the boundaries of male friendship. But it also establishes a firm boundary between the real world and the world of the game, where, as a pair of heterosexual fighters, they are sexually liberated while conforming on the surface to social norms. Danny and Carl experiment with kissing one another outside the game, trying to figure out if they're attracted to one another in real life. But the episode ultimately keeps their erotic attraction locked in the gaming environment. For Lodge, these are interesting questions, but they also demonstrate a whiff of no homo coyness. He argues that this is ultimately just a safe way two seemingly straight men can flirt with homosexuality and genderqueer identity without owning their desire or facing its social consequences. Lodge also points out that the world of the video game, like the real-life video game Mortal Kombat, appropriates and transforms Asian culture and settings for Western consumption, a cultural habit that scholar Edward Said calls Orientalism. Like the superficial exoticism of the video game environment, Lodge tells us that the writing of this episode leaves Danny and Carl scarcely more dimensional than their VR avatars. Instead of being full, rich characters with complex interiority like Frankenstein's creature or Jane Eyre or David Copperfield, Danny and Carl are relatively flat and undeveloped, so that questions about sexual and gender identity are treated in the episode like a superficial product that can be tried out without any consequences or commitment. This is the final assigned text in our course. Since we started by reading romantic poetry from the 1790s, that means we've covered a range of more than 200 years. But while the format and use of language changes considerably over time, notice that similar structures, themes, characters, plots, and tensions are used repeatedly in many of these texts. This week, for the first part of your term paper, I'm asking you to write about how some aspects of Striking Vipers might connect back to 2 or 3 other texts we've read this semester. For additional instructions, please look in this week's Blackboard folder.